Hi, I'm Hannah with Half Moon Yoga and Art. Today I'm out in the beautiful wilderness of Sedona, the Red Rock country. Native Americans would call this land the land of light. It's beautifully illuminated with the sunshine and bright warm colors like reds and oranges and yellows. And I'm out here on retreat. I want to talk about the night before the retreat. It's a really cool story and I hope you feel inspired by it. So I knew that I wanted to spend an extra day in Sedona to explore the beautiful landscape and the vortexes, these special energetic centers. There's 4 of them here in Sedona. And at first I thought, well, I'll book an extra night at the hotel. And then I thought, well, no, maybe I'll do an Airbnb because then I'll get a more authentic experience of the people that live here. And then I just had a vision that I was sitting out on the rocks meditating, and I thought, well, if I book a place to stay and I get in at 3 and I have to be at the hotel at noon for the start of the retreat the next day, I won't get to spend that much time in the wilderness. I just decided to backpack. It's my first time backpacking completely by myself and alone in the wilderness, but I had a tent, I had a backpack and sleeping bag and everything that I needed. So I packed everything very secure, and before I left, a really cool story, I was asking the universe for a book to read. I was like, what should I read while I'm on this trip? And I took the back set of stairs up my apartment building that very day, and we have a book share shelf, and it's usually pretty empty, mostly just my books, but for some reason someone had just dropped all these amazing books, like 20 books that related to exactly what I'm into: yoga, spirituality, fasting. There was even one on Sedona, and this one is called The Call of Sedona, Journey of the Heart. I was so ecstatic. Can you imagine? So I was reading it on the flight over to Phoenix from San Diego. And there's this beautiful passage, and it helped me to decide where I was going to go. I still didn't know where I was going to backpack. And this one says, in order to have an exchange with Bell Rock, we have to first open up our hearts and be pure. The pure, childlike yearning to feel Bell Rock and become one with it has to fill our heart fully. When you have that desire, you can resonate with Bell Rock's energy, and at that time, Bell Rock will open its invisible spiritual gates. At that time, your experience of Bell Rock will take on a whole new dimension. So Bell Rock really called to me in this book especially, and it's one of the 4 vortexes as well. So I got into the hotel, I dropped off my luggage for the rest of the retreat, took my backpack out, start climbing the trail, and then it starts to peak like these cliffs back here, so you have to start like rock climbing, basically bouldering or scrambling if you're familiar with those terms, climbing with your hands. And I thought, oh, this backpack is so heavy, I'm just going to ditch it down here where it's nice and flat. I'll climb the rock and I'll come back and set up my tent and camp here tonight, right? So I start playing around, and I kid you not, I felt like a child, really. I was so excited, so passionate about exploring every little crevice, every tree. I was hugging trees, I was climbing trees, I was scanning the rock faces and formations and making some of my own and taking a million pictures. Like every 3 steps I took, I had to take out my camera. It was so gorgeous. It was actually pretty hard to find my way up to the top. There wasn't any clearly marked trail or anything. It was just find your way. There was barely anyone out there at this time in the evening. I got there around 3 o'clock. And next thing you know, I made it to the top. The sun was setting, and it was gorgeous, and it was beautiful, and it felt like a really spiritual moment. And I also read in this book that sunrise and sunset activate your pineal gland and your pituitary gland, which are both very sacred spiritual centers in your chakra system, the 6th and 7th chakra. So it was magical. The whole experience was magical. I definitely felt the energy of the Bell Rock, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything. But like I said, it was sunset and started to get really dark really fast. and I couldn't find my way back. I tried 3 different times, different places that looked like they were trails, but I wasn't able to see how far they went down. Some of them dropped off like 15 feet, like around like this, so I couldn't climb down. And then it got really dark and I realized I couldn't see anything. And even though I had my cell phone and I could use a flashlight, I couldn't use a flashlight and my hands at the same time. All I had was what was on me, nothing in my backpack, even though I packed all this special stuff. So I had a little light fleece jacket on, my phone, and that's about it. And so then I thought to myself, what would Bear Grylls do right now? This is like a man versus wild experience. Like, I'm lost, I'm stuck, there's no one else up here. I could have called for help. I had my cell phone, like I said, and been helicopter rescued. But for one, that's expensive. And for two, I just felt like a calling, like I'm supposed to spend the night here on this rock. This challenge has presented itself to me and I'm gonna embrace it. So what would Bear Grylls do? He would build a shelter first. So I found what I thought to be in the nearest region around me, the best little crevice on the cliff. It was kind of a little enclave with a boulder in front of it. I'm like, this is my shelter. And I started gathering some smaller stones around me to help me feel a little more grounded and supported. And as I got settled in, I started just watching the night sky. The moon rose out from behind the courthouse butte, which was just spectacular. It was a full moon. And I just watched it slowly rise throughout the sky, throughout the night. I watched the stars change, the constellations, first from the Big Dipper, then later in the night I was seeing Orion and his belt. I don't know that many constellations, but they looked pretty cool. I even saw this sparkling galaxy. It looked like a clump of glowing butterflies from far away. So I took the first few hours to just meditate on how grateful I was that I got to experience that day there and everything that I'm grateful in my life for. I was so grateful that I didn't get injured and that I didn't die falling off a cliff, that I was safe. And I just kept repeating that mantra to myself. I am safe, I'm grounded, I'm protected. And it's amazing the power of thought and affirmations and how that can really change the mood and the tone of your experience. I could have freaked out and said, oh my God, I'm not prepared for this. I'm going to die, I'm going to freeze to death. But I knew it was only going to get to be 50 degrees and I could handle it, right? So I'd hope to inspire you with this story to tell you that through affirmations and through your power of thinking, you can really overcome anything. I also just kept telling myself, I'm at peace. Like there's nowhere else I need to be right now. This is fine. As soon as the light comes up in the morning, I'm going to find my way back down to my stuff, back down to the hotel. There's really nothing to worry about. And I started recalling some stories from my past experiences out in nature, and I just knew I was so equipped for this experience. I remembered the time hiking with my brother on Catalina Island and how we were out in the dark and there was tons of wildlife, buffaloes, deers, all kinds of weird sounds in the night. And we hiked a good 2 hours in the dark and we made it back to our campsite and we were totally fine. I also remembered this restorative yoga course that I just took a few months ago and how the more props that we have to help us feel held by Mother Earth. By the way, Bell Rock is symbolic of Mother Earth, her red rocks representing our root chakra and just that protective energy of Gaia. It was so beautiful with the moon rising, so much feminine, protective, comforting energy. But in this course, we learned that the goal of restorative yoga is to feel held by the universe. So I did with all those rocks, and I ended up like piling them up on top of me. Rocks like this size, I would just place on my hips to help me feel secure and grounded as well, and warm, of course. So as the night went on, I was shivering, I was cold, but I knew this was my body's way of keeping me warm. And after about 4 hours of meditating, and it was pretty awesome, I decided to try to get some sleep. So I would lean to one side, bringing both my knees like this, and I'd lean against the rock and place all the other rocks on top of me and sleep for like 10 minutes. And then I'd start getting so uncomfortable, I'd take all the rocks off and try the other side. And I did that from about 10 to 6 o'clock in the morning. I was total up there for 13 hours alone in the dark. But you know what? First thing, when the first little tiny touch of light came over the horizon, I was just filled with ecstasy and joy. And I knew that this experience was so valuable. And I was able to find my way back down. It took about an hour. It was still really tricky to find my way. Then I found my backpack, put on my warm clothes, and just sat and reflected in the beautiful warmth of the morning sun. And now I will forever hold Bell Rock in my heart. I made a painting, which was also inspired ahead of time by my intuition. My intuition told me to bring a brown paper bag and a white paper bag to make an artwork. And so I did with those materials and up Bell Rock. And I just hope to inspire you with this story to, number one, listen to your intuition. Even though it might bring you to a challenging moment, it's to help you feel stronger and overcome. Number two, the value of light. Light is so special to illuminate our way. Sunlight, sunrise, sunset, and just focusing on the light and the joy that it brings in your own life is very important. And number three, remember your life's lessons and how you can handle any situation. And with your affirmations and mantras, you can stay safe. It's all the power of your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. I know this is long. And wishing you love and light. Namaste.